I am a software engineer and I have been for 7 years. I also do comedy, but that is a different story for a different day. Doing these videos is kind of different for me because I'm doing stuff that's not supposed to be funny. I'm not very good at being serious. So yeah, today let's talk about how I got into tech. I want to start this video by just saying that just because I did this way doesn't mean that you have to. Every single person I've ever talked to's story is completely different. Truly. Every single person. It doesn't matter. Even if they did this with the same school, the same program, everything, worked at the same job, their story is still different because it's about them. I think a lot of the time we compare ourselves to each other. And I mean, it's okay to have goals, aspirations, and have people you look up to, but I don't think that it's good to compare yourself to others or try to do exactly what they did because your story is your own and you're you. And that's cool. Anyways, how I got into software engineering. I was a huge nerd in high school. That's just the truth. Before that though, when I was in like middle school and such, I don't know if I would have classified myself as a nerd because I wasn't very good at school, mostly because it wasn't math class all the time. A lot of the classes I was in had to do reading, history, all that type of stuff. So I didn't have an easy time focusing on that. And I would find out much later in my life that that's because I have ADHD and I can only focus on things I like, like math. But when I went into high school, I realized how much I liked math. I actually realized in the 8th grade. Shout out to a wonderful teacher I had who taught me algebra, and I fell in love with it because it felt like I was doing puzzles. And that's why I started loving algebra. And then once I got to high school, I was like, oh, let me get my hands on every single math class. And that's what I did. I loved math, was super into it. And then when it came to college, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something with math. I got a letter in the mail that was a free application to Wentworth Institute of Technology. Ended up being a good school, but I only applied to one place because I didn't know how to apply for college. And they sent me a free application that I just had to fill out. So that's where I went. Luckily, it was a good school, but that's me. I'm not very good at things. Backstory. So, what did I want to go to college for? I knew that I really liked math and that I was always the one in the family that people went to fix their electronics, their whatever, this or that. So I said, maybe computer engineering makes sense. For a long time, though, I wanted to go into architectural engineering, mostly because of how much I like The Sims and building houses. But I decided to go into computer engineering because I liked hands-on stuff and I liked math. And I went to a 4-year college, did all that. It was actually 4.5 years. And I liked it, but I didn't. What I liked about it were the math classes. Like I said, giant nerd here. I was a tutor as well, which I also loved, hence Code Emily. But the whole time, I liked it, but I didn't really like the hardware aspect. I did, but I didn't. Until my junior year, I had a class which we did a little bit of software engineering. We did a JavaScript course, and I mean, that's what started it all, really. I loved that class so much. We did CSS, HTML, JavaScript. It was a blast. Had a great time. But that was the only class I took my entire bachelor's degree that really had that much coding. I did a little bit of C programming, a tiny bit of C++, but most of the time I really had no idea what was going on in all of those classes, truly. It's just I didn't do any coding in high school. Well, actually in the 8th grade I did, in 7th grade, I did get very into Xanga, where I did HTML and CSS a little bit. So I guess that's the first time I coded, but before that's the only time I coded in high school, middle school, anything. And then like I said, in college, I really didn't do that much coding. A lot of it was hands-on, like circuit board stuff, which very cool, but not software engineering at all, except that one class where I learned JavaScript, which I loved. Yeah, so I really didn't think I had what it took to be a software engineer. I got really in my head about it. I didn't think that I could do it, even if it just sounded like this like magical thing that I could never ever get to, which I know now is silly. Like it was completely silly. I know that. But I did a bunch of internships in college because I went to a school that was like a co-op school. So they had semesters where we were supposed to do internships. That's what the whole semester was. I did a couple co-ops. I did one in radio frequency engineering, which was interesting. I liked it, but I mostly just liked the software application I used. And then I decided to go into quality assurance testing. And I did that. I liked it, but I really, really wanted to do software engineering. Like that's what I wanted. That's what my heart wanted. I knew that, and I specifically wanted to do JavaScript. But I still didn't think I could. And the first job I accepted out of college was quality assurance. So yeah, I accepted a job for quality assurance. And then after I accepted that job, I still had another semester in school left where I did a project that I specifically made a user interface for our senior project. So my senior project in school, we made this mechanism. It was a door where you walk up to the door, and depending on if it knows your face or not, it would open. We did that using Python for the back end, which one of my teammates did. Another one of my teammates did the interface for like the whole, like that we did use a Raspberry Pi and a couple other things, a camera, etc. And I made the UI for it, which I got to use JavaScript, Node, CSS. I loved it, fell in love with it. The problem was, yeah, I had already accepted a job for quality assurance. And even though I knew that wasn't really what I wanted to do, I already accepted a job and I didn't want to go back on it. So I started working at a company where that was my role. And I did that for about 6 months. And then that company had something called a hackathon, which a lot of companies do this in software engineering. If you don't know what it is already, basically it's a thing where everyone in the company can well, typically everyone, but usually people in engineering can participate and everyone can build something. Like, say you have this idea in your head that you've wanted to do, and then you get a couple days to focus on this cool new feature that you get to design, you get to decide, all that stuff. You can work with a team, you can work alone. But for my hackathon, I did a UI project, and I used that project and I brought it to my boss and another boss and got to get moved to the UI team, front end software engineering. And that's where my journey really started. And I've been doing it ever since. And I absolutely love it. And also, this is not to say that quality assurance is in any way bad. I just personally really, really loved front end JavaScript UX type of stuff. And it honestly makes sense for me because I love creative and I love math and like the actual coding part. So front end UX, UI, JavaScript, React is really my jam. Because I get to use the creative side of my brain, and also I get to think about like what would the user want to do? Why is this button blue? Why is this button gray? Why this? Why that? And that's my story of how I got into software engineering. I've been in software engineering for a little over 7 years now. I went from software engineer 2, senior. I led a couple of teams at different companies, and now I'm at a company I really love that I've been working at for a while. And it's cool that I'm finally getting this channel off the ground because honestly, my 2 loves in life, I mean, not 2, career loves, sorry, Evie, my dog, I love you too. Uh, my like 2 career passions really are software engineering and comedy. Doing Code Emily and this channel really gets to bring those 2 passions together. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to finally be putting out content once a week. I'm excited that all of you are here. I would love for you to leave comments below or like questions, anything that you have for me. If you have a similar story, have a completely different story, want to talk about quality assurance, because also I do really love testing and I do love that aspect of things. And once again, you do not need a degree for software engineering. I just want to say that. Doesn't matter with student loans. It's hard to say that. Because anyone that's watching this is like, oh my God, I need to go. I wish I went to college. No, not important.